changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Motivational Monday, and I want to talk about one of my favorite topics today, how to say no to the things that don't matter so you can say yes to the people and things that do matter. I worked with a co-author named Lauren Slocum Lahav on a book we put out a couple of years ago. It was called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Time to Thrive. There was a double meaning to that title, Time to Thrive. Half our stories were about people making time in their lives for the things they were passionate about, and the other half of the stories were about people who decided it was time to change their lives, to do something new and thrive. Either way, there was an important skill that was required, the ability to say no to things they didn't want to do so as to make time for whatever it was they did want to do. Lauren wrote a story called The Strength of No for our book, and I'm going to share it with you because she dramatically illustrates why you should use the power of no for yourself. She says she was raised in a house where all she heard was yes, yes, yes. Anytime a patient needed her dad, he would go to his optometrist office, no matter what time of day it was. He would make sure breakfast was always made for Lauren and her brother, but then he would leave the house to take care of whoever had called him. If a volunteer organization needed him, he was there. He never said no to anyone. Lauren's dad was a huge role model for her. She thought he was always fulfilled and happy living this way. So she tried to be like him. And as she says, she tried to be everything to everyone. The part she never saw during those years was what she witnessed when he was on his deathbed. He was truly exhausted because he had always said yes to everyone except himself. In fact, he had been sick for 15 years but never told his family, instead just pretending that everything was fine. Lauren feels like her dad needed that love and acceptance from the outside world, but that ended up taking too much out of him. Her mom saw what he was doing, but she thought her role was to be supportive. If this was how he wanted to live, at everyone's beck and call, she would support him. Lauren saw that as her mother's strength, to just take it and not speak up and let all that giving by her husband disadvantage her. So as an adult, Lauren did the same thing. She gave and gave, even to people who seemed to take her for granted. She tried to please everyone, make everyone happy. She says, I used to do anything and everything for anyone who needed me. But she did this at the expense of her own health and happiness. She vividly remembers the day she finally said no. She was 45 years old, but she says that was the day she grew up. That was the day she shed what she thought she had learned from her parents. That was the day that she realized she could still help people and have purpose and do what she was here to do in the world, but not at her personal expense or the expense of her children. She was in the middle of a difficult period the day that she finally said no. She had just gone through a divorce. Her ex had moved to another state, so he couldn't help with the kids anymore. She was driving her kids to 3 different schools every day, and sometimes she ran out of money before the end of the month. She was stretched so thin. And one day she was working, going from one conference call to the next, when a longtime friend called. They talked, but then Lauren got that feeling. After the pleasantries, she could tell her friend was leading up to the ask. She asked Lauren to help her with some nonprofit something or other, and Lauren had had enough. Everyone thought she could do everything. Lauren, for the first time ever, said, I'm sorry, but I just have to say no. I need to focus on my kids and my work. Lauren says that was the best phone call of her life. She was finally clear on how to live her life with boundaries. Now, I know Lauren, and I know she still gives and gives, but she does it within reason. There's a great quote from Gavin de Becker that we put at the top of Lauren's story in the book, and here it is. I encourage people to remember that no is a complete sentence. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. Tomorrow is Tip Tuesday, and we're going to talk about a woman who was there for her family but realized that they were taking her for granted. I'm going to share with you what she did about that. I'm Amy Newmark. If you'd like to learn more about everything going on at Chicken Soup for the Soul, our books, our pet food, our TV shows, etc., please check out our website, chickensoup.com, or join the 2 million people who are following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest.